Hello, my lovely Pisces. Welcome to your reading for the week of April 28th, or when you hear it and it resonates. Pisces, the image that I have of you is as though you're looking at a book. And I almost want to say an ancient book, a book of secrets. But it's not like any book I've ever seen, because as you look at it, and as you turn the page, it's literally like it's beautiful thin onion skin paper. And as you go to turn it, it's like it floats away. And as I'm asking my guides, what's the meaning of this? It's the feeling that, because there are no words on this page, on these pages, there are no symbols. They're completely blank, completely white. And yet it is from a sacred text. So the feeling that I'm getting with this, and the sense I'm getting from my guides here, is that this is about you transforming. This is about you alchemizing. And I will say alchemy. This isn't a book of alchemy, but there are no symbols and no words, because what's happening, this is your alchemy, your alchemical process is the past no longer has words, it no longer has meaning, it no longer has effect. And that you have alchemized what you needed to from your past experiences in order to be able to hold yourself with confidence, with clarity, and with an understanding of who you are beyond whatever hurts or traumas or tragedies you've experienced. There has sometimes been a tendency to hang on to them because there was, in a way, there was a fuel. They provided you a fuel, whether or not it was a fuel to be better, a fuel to move beyond them, whether or not it was the adrenaline from the stress of it that you were kind of hooked on, whether or not it was just a very kind of, how can I put this? We all get kind of attached to our stories and to the drama of our stories. We can very easily do that when we are introspective people, because we do need to look at things and we do need to understand things sometimes in order to be able to put them in a context and learn what we need to learn from them. But I do remember a good friend of mine once, a colleague, saying, you really go back to the story a lot. And I realized she really got something. And that was that in my urgency to understand the story and to place it in a context that I could then understand and let go, that I kept retelling the story. And that there was a certain point at which it was more in my favor to let whatever go that I didn't know in order to be able to let go of the energy of that story. And what I found as I did that was obviously many different things changed in me physically, chemically, alchemically. And whatever I needed to understand from that point in my life then became understandable through a current experience that then would reflect back on it. But it was not anchored in the past. It was anchored in the present experience. And if I needed to draw something from the past, or if it was to free something from the past that was still stuck, it happened in that way. And that became much more powerful. And that allowed me to move through things much more, well, I won't say much more quickly. It allowed me to move through things without being anchored to the energy of the past, while still being able to access and use the energy of the past, either to learn from or to let go of. So I feel as though that's part of what the message is for you, Pisces. And that what you're being told here, as I look at all of this, it's really it's a reminder that, chaos often happens in our lives as a way to shake us up, to move us forward, to get us to question the status quo. So if you're having chaos in your life now, which, like, kind of who isn't at this point in time, just because It's ever present in almost everything we're doing. But if there is personal chaos for you, if there is confusion, if there is concern, and if it feels like your life is a little bit crazy, what you're being asked to do is to lighten up the energy around that chaos by having compassion for yourself. Compassion, if there's ever anybody else in there that you're having bad feelings towards, do your best to have compassion for them too. And so, what is compassion? It carries an awareness of the vulnerabilities of others and ourselves. There's an empathy, which allows for a gentle, kind approach, nudging us towards moving us away from the need to blame and judge, and move towards a desire to simply understand. Choose compassion. But you're also being asked to have a certain quality of humor, because being able to laugh at something and look at the comical nature of it, and sometimes that means literally in your mind turning it into a comedy, it allows us to see behind the defensiveness that we might have around something. When I can laugh at myself around an issue that I've found distasteful, unpleasant, hurtful, I can almost come up with a whole new picture of it in terms of what it might have been as opposed to how I had interpreted it. And it's also true that because it lightens the energy, and because it tends to pull on the imagination, it automatically takes us into a higher frequency, which then allows us to get the insights, the intuition. You're also being asked to remember that there is a higher conscious part of you. There is another me. There's another me watching this that's totally unaffected by this, and to lean into that, okay? And to just kind of do your best to not worry about what you know, what you don't know, how accurate, how specific things are. You can take a chance on letting go of the story. You can take a chance on moving forward and being honest and saying what you feel and really getting in touch with what you're feeling. Because, sometimes we go on with a story, and we go on with a story that's a sad story. But when we stop and say, am I still really sad? Or am I just reliving that the way I would if I were watching a movie? I'm not really sad anymore, or I'm not actually really angry anymore, or sometimes even, I'm so bored of being XYZ. So I'm going to let that go because I don't need to anymore. It's just become a habit. So it's to really check in with what you're actually feeling and what is just part of the old story. And that has become a habit that you don't really relate to anymore in the same way. And you're being asked to really let go of the stress around that. Drop whatever the old story, whatever it is about the old story that is making you sad, miserable, caught in chaos, any of the heavy stuff. Because Pisces, you have got so much creativity in you, and you've got so much ability to really work with your intuition in so many different ways that it feels like this is saying to you, this is your way of setting yourself free. This is you alchemizing your past in a way where it now liberates you. So for whatever part of the collective this is relevant to, that is what you're being encouraged to do, with really, really great spirit support here, reminding you how precious you are in your ability to really tap into that creativity on so many levels. I mean, that's one of the things about Pisces I've seen so many times, is that you have just got the capacity to be brilliantly creative in so many ways, so many venues. And I just love that about you. It is part of what can make you vulnerable, obviously, because you're really in touch with that flow of creativity, which is deep, which is unconscious, which carries with it a lot of power. This is you being able to bring that power in and ground it in yourself in order to be able to alchemize anything that you've needed to learn and move forward with this beautiful, beautiful creative legacy that you've got. So well done, Pisces, and keep going, okay? Thank you so much for stopping by and reading. I really appreciate it. If it's not offensive to you, giving me a like would be great, because it really helps the algorithm for the channel to bring this out to more people, which I'd really like to do. So thank you and take care.